Hey friends. Well, we cut an album yesterday. It was pretty fun. Man, what an experience. What an experience. Um, it, so, it was kind of like, it was kind of like magic. Getting in the room and beginning to just hear, I made sure we got there early and I had a little time at the piano to kind of just feel into the space, feel the ring of the room, feel the instrument. But then it was like a rocket taking off. I mean, it was just so much fun to hear this cast who know the show like the back of their hand, and these instrumentalists who are just some of the top, they're just some of the best people I've ever played with, just launched this thing into the stratosphere. It was amazing. I stepped into the booth on one of the playbacks, and I was like, this is the platonic ideal of what this song's supposed to sound like. It's exactly what you would have imagined it could be. So, yeah, just feeling immensely grateful for that. Relaxed we still have a little bit left to do today. There's one song we didn't do, and there's a bunch of stuff, but the bulk of it is done, and it just went beautifully. And so what I was thinking about yesterday too, what I spoke about yesterday in terms of my initial impulse as I got closer to the day, to feel this like competitive thing. I was so glad that I identified that, and that I just kind of put it, it just didn't really enter the room. Once I clocked it and spoke about it yesterday, and kind of knew, I had outlined for myself what this was really about and what it wasn't about. And it's just remarkable to me how, that because you get in a room with people like this, and it's like, so a spiritual teacher I used to work with used to quote, I think, the Shankaracharya or something like that, or the Mahabharata. It was one of these ancient texts where he said, it basically says, love is the natural in between. And it's something that we've all experienced, like when you see someone on the street even, and it's like your eyes meet, and there's this initial resonance. It's just this initial love. Love is the natural in between. I love that as a kind of benchmark. Like, love is the status quo. love is everything. But of course, we have all kinds of ways of putting a veil in front of that, kind of clouding that. But as I was both playing yesterday and then especially afterwards, I just was standing around with the musicians, and it was just so clear that everybody was just having the time of their life, loving the experience, and being just completely and 100% available as themselves. And it's my experience every time that I'm in a room with truly high-level artists, that's the case. There's just no ego in the room. So there's in other words, there's no, the cloudy kind of armor that we put up is just not there. It's just not there at the highest level. It's like people just work it out. And what it tells me is there's a level on which our ego thinks I need to get good enough to be worthy to be in a room with people who are that good or whatever. Turns out the only real work is letting go of our ego. That's the real work. If you can do that, you can do all the other work. You know, that's really the thing that is driving home to me. Not that this is like a new insight, but it just gets affirmed every time I have an experience like this. That, you know, it's like Sadhguru says, letting our karma, like not trying not to build any new karma, and just letting our karma gradually dissolve, you know, because ego is compulsion. Ego is the behavior that's somehow compulsive and unconscious and compensating for what? For an ego that feels unworthy. It's totally circular. And so just observing that and then letting it, the best way that I've found to get rid of ego is to see my ego and then not do anything about it, but just keep watching it. Because when my eye is on my ego, it doesn't act up. It's like it knows there's an adult in the room, and it doesn't try to pull anything. It's really like so in other words, in order for my ego to kind of take over, I have to look away. I have to go unconscious, and all of that is a cloud in the midst of this natural in between. So it's just so spectacular to kind of bathe in that for a little while, and to just be affirmed in the fact that that's the work. You know, to kind of, I was really glad that I caught that impulse of mine, because it was one that certainly would have been, you know, it's like it doesn't belong. It just doesn't belong. And to then recognize what is pouring, how much pours through when we just get that out of the way, is really amazing. It's really amazing. It's, you know, it's infinite. It's the thing. It's how you can see, oh yeah, there really is infinite potential. There really is no limit. It's just an open channel. But I was really touched. I was really thinking about that love is the natural in between thing, both last night and then this morning a little bit, because it was so evident, you know, it was just so clear that that's what was in the room. That's what the connection was to every set of eyes around the room, and even through the headphones. And a couple people commented on it too. They said, "Wow, this is a great energy, you know, great energy." And it came from our cast too. Our cast from Houston was amazing, and they really it was an amazing group to capture on this album. It was definitely. We definitely got a good one. So now, gotta do another song or two today, and then wait for it to come out. Wait to be able to listen to it all. And it's interesting because it also has in the last just 12 hours or so since the session ended, it's also when you have an experience of flow like that, it's like it always kind of reframes things in my own mind. It helps remind me of my deeper intentions, my, what it sorts out what's more important, what's less important, where is my heart really going, and there's a kind of logistical clarity that comes from I can only attribute it to being kind of in a place of total honesty, in a place of real reality. It's kind of both grounding and inspiring at the same time. That's how I tend to identify that it's on the right track, because it's not a fantasy, and it's not, well, settle for this. It's sinking into the ground and being practical and realistic, but also realistic in the context of reality's infinite, possibilities are infinite, knowing firsthand, kind of having like a still lingering felt sense of infinite possibility. So I'm sure stuff's going to be coming through over the next couple days as I go home and see my wife and daughter again. Can't wait. But overall, a success, for sure. And I appreciate this. I appreciate all of you. I appreciate this conversation. This is, this is a lot of times where those observations and insights come from. It's from sensing something and expressing it, and then getting a very, very instant reflection. So thank you. So much love. Appreciate you. Have a wonderful day. I'll see you tomorrow.